Yeah, you're very welcome to sit down. And
Okay, so you want to tell us why you're here?
So, hello everyone. Right. Thank you for coming to the circle. We're here as citizens of the planet, as everyone. And we care about this island, and we care about our community. And we read the article in the Driftwood 2 weeks ago, and it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like it was a fair representation, and it didn't give us any idea of what we're all here about. So what we want to do is find out the truth and let everybody know what's happening here. What are you standing for? What are you protesting? What are your values? What do you represent? What are your hopes for this? A lot of people don't know. And we walked around today at the market and went to businesses, and we talked to 120 people. And we asked them what they thought about the camp, what their feeling was. We made it really easy. We made 5 different categories. There was friend, foe, don't know about it, don't care, or understand but don't agree with the method. So we walked around and talked to all these people, and it gave a good representation, I feel anyways, of how people feel and what people understand about what you're here for. So all we want to do is find out, and it seems that the conception we got is that everybody's here together, that there isn't one particular person that's sort of a spokesperson kind of thing for the group, and that everybody's in it together. So we want to get what everybody's feeling, so we need to kind of go through things in a slightly formatted way just so that we can talk about everything. So if everybody can talk, like sort of discuss the topic together and come up with something that the whole group feels rings true, then that's what we'll write down. And we just want to find out what you're all here for. So we're here to listen. That's all.
How did the numbers come out?
I'm actually not done surveying either, but that's all. I'm not telling anyone yet.
I guess we're part of that survey too, aren't we?
We should be.
No,
Yeah, we're part of the
But we're biased.
Yeah, we are.
It's more what the community feels about the camp rather than what the camp. We can.
Camp's great.
Okay, so I guess the first question I have is, everyone's calling it Freedom Camp, and so I want to know what that means. What is a Freedom Camp? What are the...
Freedom means no charge.
If anybody doesn't agree or wants to speak
I'm calling it Peace Camp. I'm not sure.
I'm calling it Freedom Camp. Because we're trying to make peace with people who live here. And we want to be free too, so we're trying to do that peacefully.
Does everyone maybe
Living without cost
right.
is free, you know?
I got the
To just respire without being charged money for that is freedom, you know?
I have a ticket in my back pocket, like $50 for sleeping in a park.
It's
I think that's like ludicrous.
costs money to sleep in Canada, so this is freedom.
Yeah, and it's your birthright as a human being to have food and shelter, and if that's up to you, then so be it. But now there's no land left, and that's the problem. That's what we're here for. I think, you know, everybody can be self-sustainable. You can put a roof over your own head. You can make your own clothes. You can grow your own food. We can be self-sustainable. We just have to have the space, the freedom to have that space.
There's a law that says that too, eh? There is a law in Canada that says you've got to provide for somebody the necessary things to live. Should
Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the law is called, but like if you're a parent that doesn't provide goodness for your kids and whatnot, then you can be penalized for that. So I mean, there's got to be something that I mean, our country's not doing for us that we're sitting here feeling like we're walking on the edge, we're living on the edge because
Literally.
we want food at our fingertips and a place to sleep, being poor people. And it's worth beating our chest all the time like it was an occupation. Should we find no other place to do it except for here on the beach, 6 meters from the line and under high tide line. So it's a thin line and we're criminals, right? Or very close to it.
Tourists.
Yeah.
Well, really, you're not criminals at all because they couldn't find a single law that you're breaking.
Yeah.
So that makes you not criminals.
The great anomaly.
Okay, but I want you to direct us back to the question. So what does Freedom Camp mean? Is it called Freedom Camp? Is there an official name?
I don't think it's that formalized. I mean, I don't think they've... How many circles have there been here?
Well, isn't that the whole idea of freedom as well, too?
Yeah.
Like something, you're just living, you're just being, you're creating life, your art, whatever you're speaking, and you're free to be yourself. If you put too many rules and guidelines, then it's not freedom anymore.
That's exactly what it is. It's total freedom. You're totally free.
Referring to like Freedom Village, like Channel Ridge is building what they call a village, and so that this is a corporate village, which is a gated community. So to call this Freedom Village is like a polar
By
opposite
contrast.
of their development on top of the mountain, which is a development for the rich. And so while they're doing everything for the rich, the people on the bottom are getting shut out. And so we have freedom. We're supposed to be free here. So if we are free, then we have the freedom to act. But how can we act if everything that surrounds us is all controlled and we're trapped? There is no freedom.
That's the whole point, I guess. That there has to be like a reassessment of the system, if not a complete system breakdown, because the line between the richer and the poor is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So more people, less people have more people have less. And it's just a matter of time before there's going to be a huge lashback, I think. This is the only thing in Canada that I've heard of that is like this. But, there's got to be other spots around the world. Like Spain, for example, they're a socialist government now. They have a number of spots where people can go and they have self-sustainable housing there, and we could have something like that here as well. The more attention, the better, I say, so this is good.
I think it's freedom from government too.
Yeah, we can
in olden times, before at the time of Robin Hood, people. I was in India and people like squat wherever, outside of big high-rise apartment buildings. But in Canada, if you're homeless, the only place you go is in the downtowns of cities. You get squished into the downtown, the worst possible place you could be if you're without shelter. And that's the only place you're allowed to be. I was on a sidewalk, a cement sidewalk in a city. Otherwise, everything else is run by the Parks Department or private land or somebody who's not going to let you stay in that land. And the whole place is sold. There's no common lands anymore in this country. And they've been getting sold down the river for 400, 500 years, and you've been losing them all the way along. So you don't really, I just don't think that you should be asking, I don't want to ask the government for stuff, subsidized housing or whatever. You can make it on your own, just give us back the land,
Yeah.
Just give us it back and we'll do it with whatever we want. You don't need the government regulations and all that stuff especially if you're poor, In Canada, I just came back a little while ago and people get taxed 15%. Poor people get taxed 15%. It's unbelievable. It's a highly taxed place. Even poor people are getting taxed. I don't mind if rich people do. They don't mind getting taxed. They shouldn't, they got enough.
Okay, so we'll kind of move on since you're all talking about this anyway. Is there something official that people are protesting? Is there or these are all this sort of, it's not a protest?
There's an aspect of it that's a
demonstration.
protest from my point of view.
I would say more of a demonstration.
Yeah,
An example.
An
An example that you
example.
can live like this.
Yeah.
that we can live as a community
Like literally demonstrating.
and that we don't need particularly government funding to live, going back to what this guy was saying, like growing our own food, building our own homes, it's really, you got to let people be really aware of what the truth really is. They say Canada is the #1 country to live, but yet we have third world conditions. We're bottling our water, we're doing all these crazy things. We have homeless people in cities, and we have all this empty space in the downtowns, and yet they're too fucking greedy to give us a home because all they care about is their money. Money is their god, and they need to understand that. We don't really need a system that's gonna keep us oppressed at the bottom, because eventually that system is gonna collapse, and it's gonna be the other way around. Realistically, it's people like us who should be running the world, because we're the true educated people. We've suffered, we've lived life, whether we've traveled to other places around the world or whatever. We're educated people, and we learn along the way, and I think that, we just don't want to, we just don't want to be oppressed by a system that's going to tell us who we should be, how we should be that person, and if we step out of line, there's all of a sudden there's all these consequences. Particularly in Vancouver, here's a prime example of the attack on the poor. They know that people who are riding the SkyTrain for free now, that if they can't have $2, why would you burden them with $46? Which, it's ridiculous.
It's like sleeping in a park and getting a $50 fine. If I had $50, I would be sleeping in the park.
I think that the word protest is a word that represents fighting against something, and I think demonstration is it's an environment where you're learning about what the problems are, but it's not to stand there and be angry about what is wrong with the situation. It's to understand the problems and to know it, and maybe to be angry for a while because there's a place for that, but then rising above that and finding the solutions and standing for something as opposed to standing against something. So I don't like the word protest because I feel that means that we don't have the solution, which I don't have the solution. I think that's why we're here in part, is